Welcome back to the show. Terry Horner placed third in the 1-meter springboard at February's selection camp for the World Championship team. But unlike swimming, third place in diving doesn't always mean you're left out. After a committee met to determine the best divers to take to Rome for the World Championships, Horner found his name on that list of divers who will compete. And joining us now on the phone from Tallahassee, Florida, is Terry Horner. Terry, welcome to the Morning Swim Show.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So explain this process. I know we've done some stories in the past on the diving, but is it the same every time that you don't have to be in the top two, but you can still find your way on the team?
Well, it's a complicated process. Basically what happens is that, we on 1 meter we have to do 3 lists, and then they take they combine all 3 of your scores, and then they break it down to like what your average was, what your possible potential could be, and like they have this big long equation that goes into it. And on the first list, I ended up getting second, and then on the second list I ended up winning, and then on the third list I ended up getting third. So overall, they after gathering all the data and everything, they plugged it into this equation, and I guess I just barely fit in there somehow.
Is there ever conflict between the athletes because it's a subjective sport and because of the complicated way that this is all determined, that the guy who does get left out, do they ever, is there ever some bitterness between you guys?
I don't know. That's a pretty tough question. I'm sure that there's some people that, have a hard time with the selection process and everything because it is very, very subjective. But, for the most part, I've been to a couple of the selection camps previous to this one, and they're always changing. We are always trying to find the best way to pick teams and everything. And at this selection camp, I felt like before I even made the team, I felt like it was much more fair than it has been in the past.
All right, I want to read a couple of your resume highlights here. You won the NCAA Championships in 2007. You're 11th this year on the 1 meter. You obviously made the world team on the 1 meter. So, are you diving as well as you ever have, or were you better in 2007? Explain where you think you are right now in your career.
Well, right now I'm definitely diving better than I am in 2007. That's, hands down. In 2007 coming in, I had taken 2 years off of diving. I hadn't even touched a diving board. And then with a year of training leading up to NCAAs, I went in there and ended up winning. And what happened this year at NCAAs is on my most difficult dive that I do on 1 meter, my knees buckled, and I almost failed the dive. And in prelims, I did everything I could to try to come back from almost failing a dive. I only scored like 23 points, I think it was, on that one dive. And, I had to get in the top 8, and I got 10th, in prelims, which I was out of making the top 8 by 10 points.
Explain that. You say your knees buckled. At what point in the dive?
Right as soon as I was trying to leave the diving board, trying to jump, my knees gave out on me.
But is that a common thing, or is that just a fluke thing? Because I know repetition is the key for you guys. Was it just a fluke?
Yeah, it was a fluke, but things like this happen. It's not the first time that I've gone out there before and diving meets and accidentally tripped and fallen off the diving board before. So accidents happen, and it was definitely just like a fluke thing. It's something that doesn't happen all the time, but it happens to every diver at some point in time in their career.
Well, Terry, we wish you luck this summer at the World Championships, and thanks a lot for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Terry Horner joining us here on the Morning Swim Show, and that is our show for today. Our thanks again to Tier for sponsoring the show. If you have any comments for us, feel free to email us at mail@morningswimshow.com.